And I actually begged my mother. I said, can I please get another class? And she said, no, you should go. You still have your abacus classes, your piano classes, your arts classes. We can't just, put all our eggs in one basket and only have you do dance, But clearly in my heart, like, I just really wanted to dance because everyone was standing up to applaud for us. And then she saw me and we were just making eye contact. And because she couldn't applaud, she just looked at me and she said, thank you. Like, thank you. And then she just kept saying it as the curtain was closing.
Today we talk with perhaps the most positive-minded person I know, Allison Chen. Allison started her dance training very young and was a star on the Shenyun stage, where she traveled the world bringing classical Chinese dance to millions. Allison danced with Shenyun until 2015 and now serves as vice chair of dance at Feitian College in Middletown, where she channels her passion for the arts into teaching and guiding the next generation of classical Chinese dancers. It's been a while. How have you been?
I've been good.
I'm trying to remember when the last time we had a conversation was.
Yesterday or the day before.
Well, okay, a couple days ago I reached out saying, hey, can you come and chat a little bit? But before then, I mean, we go back quite a ways.
Yeah, we do. Like the first time I watched a Shenyun show, you were the MC.
That is way back. How many years did you actually perform with Shenyun?
I performed with Shenyun for 7 years. So I first started performing in its 2008 global tour, and then I went up all the way to 2015.
But what are you up to now?
Now I'm mostly just teaching. I teach at a branch campus of Feitian College down at Middletown.
Middletown, New York.
Yes, Middletown, New York. So it's Feitian College at Middletown, and I'm currently the vice chair there at the dance department.
Is this a recent promotion?
A few years ago. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you do as a vice chair?
I mostly teach the dance classes, specializing in classical Chinese dance, but I also oversee the day-to-day, advising students, making sure everyone's sane.
Did you think when you were a kid growing up, did you think you'd end up being a dance, not end up, you have a lot more career ahead of you, but that you would be a dance teacher someday?
How would you say? I knew I wanted to dance. I think I've been dancing since I was a baby, probably. And
Ask your mom if you were kicking around a lot.
Oh, I did. And then, I even before Shenyun started, I knew I wanted to dance. So I said I really wanted to become a dancer. I was already studying a little bit of Chinese dance as a kid, doing a little bit of ballet on the side. And then after I went into the performing realm, I didn't think I would transition to becoming a teacher one day. Like, I just really hoped that I could keep dancing. But that's how things kind of ended up.
And were your parents supportive of you going into dance, going to classical Chinese dance?
Well, I would say yes and no.
Was that one of them was yes, one of them was no?
Yeah, one was yes, one was no. I think it was just very unexpected because like, my dad's an engineer, my mom, she was an accountant / stay-at-home mom. And then, so no one in our family really did anything arts related. So I was kind of the first kid to kind of step into that sort of realm. My mom always just sent us to dance classes and other arts classes when we were kids, just because she thought it was good exposure for us. But she really wanted us to learn traditional Chinese dance. And then, so she was searching all around for places that actually offered, classical Chinese dance, but there weren't many dance schools that offered like purely classical Chinese dance. And then when she heard that Feitian Academy was starting up in New York to train dancers professionally for classical Chinese dance, and then she said, okay, why don't you funnel all your energy over there? Yeah, so that's kind of what got us really interested, and then that subsequently led to me going into Shenyun.
So why do you think it was so important for your mom that you learn traditional Chinese dance?
Well, I think if you really think about it, like, I was in California, and even though I was an ABC, like an American-born Chinese, but I actually never went back to China. And I don't have that deep of a connection with Chinese culture, even though a lot of my friends, maybe their family spoke Chinese and we went to Chinese school together, but there wasn't that deep of a connection with the heritage itself. And so that's why she was actually very adamant on us learning Chinese from a young age and, giving us some stories here and there. But I think for her, she really wanted me to dive deeper into that culture and, learning an art form that's so deeply rooted in Chinese culture, then you're already indirectly learning more about the culture.
When you perform classical Chinese dance, I've seen you perform. I've seen you in dance competitions. I've seen you on stages many times. You are able to bring out characters and the elements of the virtues that are behind the stories in a very remarkable way. How do you think it is that you were able to find that connection to the culture and the stories?
Well, first of all, I think just learning more about it, and then actually coming to Feitian and then getting opportunities to perform on practicum with Shenyun. I think it has given us a lot more, I guess, how would you say, incentive to look into the history behind it, because at least for me, when I'm trying to portray a character and I don't know what that character is going through, the context of their environment or any historical events happening during that time, if I don't know about that, it's really hard for me to portray that, so it really pushes you, to try to dive deeper about these characters. Yeah.
Was it hard for you to move from California all the way across the country to New York, to then go to a boarding school, leave your family, and start training in classical Chinese dance?
Oh, honestly, it was a dream come true.
Leaving the family was a dream come true?
Well, I mean, not in the sense that I don't like my family, but because, really, when I was a kid, I actually remember, for some reason, when we were in middle school, they asked us, what do you want to do in college? And I didn't even go to high school yet. But I actually remember filling out, I want to be a dancer. And I looked for schools across the US for dance programs. And then just having an opportunity to go to dance for most of the day, that was really what I wanted. Because when I was studying dance as an amateur dancer, I could only go once a week. And I actually begged my mother. I said, can I please get another class? And she said, no, you should go. You still have your abacus classes, your piano classes, your arts classes. We can't just, put all our eggs in one basket and only have you do dance, But clearly in my heart, I just really wanted to dance. So to be able to go to a boarding school and really focus on something that I really loved, I think I felt like I would not get an opportunity like that anywhere else. So that's why I was just really all in, from the very beginning. And I came to New York with two of my other friends at first. So we had a little trial period to see if we could stay in the professional program. But after a while, they actually went home because they didn't meet the standards at that time. So I was the only one that stayed, but because I easily made friends with everyone else in my class, so I actually just didn't really think too much about home. I wasn't missing home or calling my mom and dad constantly or anything. And yeah, I just enjoyed every moment of it. It just felt super magical. Yeah.
What was magical about it?
There are moments where I remember, because the Feitian Academy of Arts, the campus is very beautiful. It's very serene, and it's there are a lot of Tang Dynasty style buildings there. So I remember very clearly we would be training in the summer, and then we would open up the windows and you could hear the Tang Dynasty style bells,
like
chiming.
wind chimes.
Yeah. Wind chimes just blowing in the breeze. And then when you were tired, you could just go walk around the lake, and it was very serene.
Yeah. And so now you already have a master's degree, right? And all that was at Feitian College?
Yes.
So what was the master's degree in?
Also classical Chinese dance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you write a thesis for this?
Yeah.
What was it about?
It was, do we really want to go into this one?
I'm interested.
It was an appreciative analysis on classical Chinese dance.
Okay.
So it was kind of more like taking an outsider approach on how to appreciate the aesthetic principles of classical Chinese dance, and sort of giving a side-by-side comparison to how the aesthetics of different dance forms are like. Yeah, including ballet, modern.
Do you interact with people from other art forms that are doing ballet or modern? And do you have this kind of cross-cultural or cross-genre type of exchange?
Yeah, a lot. Because actually, I guess this is kind of what I've been trying to spearhead with the dance department down here in Middletown. I'm really trying to get our dance students involved with the community and with other local dance companies and dance schools. And then a lot of times it ends up in a lot of different collaborations and a lot of different projects that we do.
So what does a collaboration look like?
Like, for example, every year we've been going with the Warwick Center for the Performing Arts, where we have a friend there. Her name is Melissa, and then she invites us back every year to do the Chinese tea dance portion of the Nutcracker. But historically, everyone does the Chinese tea dance in a very stereotypical way, and it's using ballet movements. But Melissa, she was super open about it, and she said, "Hey, how can you re-choreograph this piece and use classical Chinese dance?" So that's what I've been doing with her every year. But it's kind of interesting because every year I'll do a different rendition of it, even though it's the same music. It's the same Chinese tea dance music that Tchaikovsky used. But then we would do it with classical Chinese dance. Like, we did a girls ensemble dance piece. We did a folk dance ensemble piece. We did one version with boys and girls. So every year's been kind of different.
Is this the one that's at Sugarloaf?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually took my daughters to see it.
Yeah.
I think
I saw
2
you
years
that year.
They were some of the highlights of that show. I mean, during curtain call, they got a really big round of applause. Yeah. That looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. Yeah, sometimes we do. There was one time I worked with another friend. Her name is Elizabeth Flores, and then she runs the New American Youth Ballet. So we did some pieces where we collaborated to make a Chinese dance piece with a peacock. She said something that that really stood out to me. She was saying that when people's egos don't get in their way, then we can make something really beautiful.
Do you ever have an experience with egos getting in the way?
I had experiences with my own ego getting in the way.
Okay. Would you mind telling me about them?
Well, let me think about that. I mean, I definitely did. I think it was more of like a long-term thing that I had to deal with.
Okay.
In terms of ego, because I think as dancers, you kind of have to juggle finding the fine balance or like there's a fine line where you have to make sure that you're not overly confident, but at the same time, you're not overly critical of yourself, And I think from the very beginning, like, I was always told to be humble. And then whatever the teachers teach you, just try to absorb as much as you can, And then I think that sort of theme has really grown with us, over the years, because, as students, you get passed around to different teachers. You're going to take flexibility with one teacher, fundamentals with another teacher, maybe classical Chinese dance bearing or Shenyun with another teacher, and they're all going to have and then they're all going to have different styles of teaching, different requirements, and then over time as the years progress, because we get so many performance opportunities as students, like if you advance well enough, then you get opportunities to tour with Shenyun, right? So every year, if you're touring every year, you have a lot of performances under your belt. So sometimes, at least for me, after maybe the third or fourth year, I started thinking, oh, I'm not too bad. I'm not too shabby. I kind of know what I'm doing, and then it gets harder to take in feedback from, your peers and even from your teachers, whom you probably respected so much from when you respected a lot when you were younger. But after you see different things, you think, oh, they don't know what they're talking about, So it's kind of that constant battle where internally you really have to like be careful of that ego growing, and then if you're not careful of it, it just blows up like a balloon. Yeah.
I see a very humble person when I talk to you, and you're always so positive. And where do you think that comes from? Were you always like that?
Yeah, I've always been very, very hyperactive as a kid. And then I just had way too much energy when I was younger. So that's what really got me into dance in the first place. And I think in general, I take up after my father. He's also very happy. He's like a happy-go-lucky guy. So like I think we're the type of people where even if challenges come our way, we're just like, oh, okay, well, let's just go for it. just try, you know.
Do you have any shows that stand out more in your mind than others?
I remember when I first went on tour, our first tour, after the show finished and we were doing our curtain call. So that's when all the dancers come back on stage and we take our final bows. You know, we thank the audience for them giving time to us, you know, to come to the show. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw on the side, there was a mother holding her baby. And then because everyone was standing up to applaud for us. And then she saw me and we were just making eye contact. And because she couldn't applaud, you know, she just looked at me and she said, thank you, like, thank you. And then she just kept saying it as the curtain was closing. And then I was like, oh my God. Yeah, because I guess I didn't realize then how much of an impact that we could make for people, you know, because I guess a lot of people don't realize when you're on stage, you don't get to talk to the audience. You know, you don't get to interact with them. Your interaction with them is so short-lived, you know. But even so, you can feel it when it touches someone, you know, deeply. And I think that's also what really grounded me in my decision to, you know, continue dancing, is because after that experience, that's when I saw, oh, I can help people, you know, through my art, or I can touch people and move people in ways that, you know, I would not be able to if I just went on with my normal life. Yeah.
What do you think it is about the performance that touches people like that?
Just the fact that the performance itself, of course, it has different snapshots of Chinese culture, it has different ethnic dance styles, and it has different story dances. But I think ultimately, just the fact that it communicates kindness to people, I think that's something that, you know, we don't have as much of that nowadays, or like, because people are so busy with their everyday lives, you know, a lot of times you forget about these things, like how to treat others well, or how to treat people with kindness. Like, I think a lot of it's woven into the show in this sort of artistic way that's implied, and sometimes it's acted, or it's acted out, but it's in a way where people can interpret it for themselves and take home with them, because they'll be thinking back to it, you know. So I think that's really what moves people, instead of just going to a show for entertainment purposes, you know, or just for some sort of stimulation, just to relax on a Sunday evening, you know. So I think that's what kind of sets us a little bit apart. Not saying that there are other shows that don't, not saying that other shows don't do that, you know. There are also other shows that, you know, bring out these different values or different messages, you know. But I think at least for Shen Yun, that's something that the choreographers and the directors, they intentionally do with the show. Like, they really want to just remind people, you know, to find the goodness from within, you know. So I think that's something that people can take home with them.
Where do you think that comes from?
Well, honestly, it comes from Falun Dafa. Yeah, because a lot of the dancers and the musicians at Shen Yun, they practice Falun Dafa, and that's a meditative practice that its practitioners follow the tenets of truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance. So every day, it's not, how would you say, it's not something that's like mandated onto its practitioners, you know. It's really, you have to think internally, how can I improve myself to align with these principles, you know, to become more truthful, to be more benevolent to people around me, and, you know, to forbear some hardships or tribulations that might come your way in your daily life, you know, or even just small frustrations, you know. So I think just keeping those, you know, values at heart, you know, that's what enables a lot of people to better themselves. And I know there are some people, you know, how would you say, when you're cultivating, you know, like you might do better in some regards and not as well in other regards, so people are not perfect, within our all the Falun Dafa practitioners that I know, not everyone's perfect, but at least I know they're trying, they're trying their best to align themselves with this. And so that's why when you say, okay, when some people might ask, where does this kindness come from? It's an internal sort of journey, like it's something that you're trying to seek internally and improve yourself internally. It's not something that you ask of from someone else. I can't tell you, Lisha, you be more nice, but if you don't want to be more nice, even though I know you're trying, but if you don't want it yourself, then you're not going to change anything. Yeah. So I think just collectively as a whole, in general, that's what most artists at Shenyun try to do. They try to better themselves, in all different aspects, when things come up, they try to look internally and see how they can improve instead of pointing fingers at other people. So yeah.
Are there things about your time at Shenyun that you really miss?
My days at Shenyun were so much simpler than now, versus as the vice chair now, I have to oversee so many different things, and there's just this like heightened sense of responsibility. But I think after I became the vice chair, I realized there's a lot of joy in serving other people. Like, how would you say? That's also something that translated from my career as a performer with Shenyun into my career now. Because I didn't realize that, how would you say this? As a performer, I found joy in giving to the audiences as I performed. And when I first transitioned to teaching, I didn't realize that I could still do something similar, where it's actually an even more selfless act, because I'm taking the knowledge and my experiences, and now I realize I'm funneling my joy into future artists.
Is there something in particular you took away with you the most from your time in Shenyun?
I would say it's not necessarily like a specific moment. It's more of like a deep impression that, the culture of the company has left with me. And that is, to really not be so egotistical and to really be humble. And my students, they all know this, whether I'm teaching little kids or high schoolers or college students, in these past few years, I always tell them, don't be arrogant, always be humble. Even now, I always tell myself too, I firmly do believe that for me to even, get all these so-called achievements, like, yeah, I've been to dance competitions, so what? Yeah, I've performed with Shenyun, so what? Yeah, I got to, dance on these prestigious world stages, but in reality, that's not any of like my own doing. I really firmly believe now that those were all opportunities that were given to me. It's just that, like in Chinese, we say 天时地利人和. I just so happened to be in the right place at the right time, and I met the right people, and those people were willing to support me. So that's how I got here. It's not from my own doing. It really isn't. Like, maybe I do have my own interests and like specialties along the way, but if it wasn't for the support of other people, I would not be here. So I think when I see things like from that light, I don't feel the need to feel like really special, if that makes sense. Like, I don't crave that anymore. That feeling of, oh, I want to be a superstar, or I want to be someone acknowledged for something special. Like, I'm completely content now. At least I've reached that sort of peaceful state, I think, where I'm completely content with just being like an ordinary sort of artist and person out here now, and I just want to take these experiences and share it with other people. So that's kind of a long-winded answer, but it it's hard to compress everything that I've taken away from my experience in Shenyun, because I really do feel like it was very, very valuable for me. A lot of people might feel like, oh, that's such a cliche thing to say, you know, but it's something that I've mulled over for years, you know, and I've thought it through. Like, it's something that won't really change in my heart, because I'm very grateful for all the opportunities that I got, whether it be at Feitian or performing with the company at Shenyun. Like, and that's something that I want to continue, you know, whether it doesn't matter what environment I'm in, you know, but I do want to keep, you know, passing the torch in that way.
You've already had so many different experiences. What are you looking forward to now, personally, professionally?
Personally, well, to be honest, this year's been kind of slow for me. I'm expecting my first baby in a few months. So that's another title I can add to my multiple positions as a teacher, choreographer, vice chair, mom to be, former Shenyun dancer. There you go, the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that new chapter of life.
Do you feel ready to be a mom?
No. Yes, and well, how would you say? I'm prepared for the uncertainty. Yeah, let's just say it like that. And I firmly believe that I will make lots of mistakes along the way. And I firmly believe that it will look like a large child bringing up a small child. And I will probably play more than the kid. But yeah, I'm just going to take it one step at a time, because, you know, no one can be ready for it. You know, no matter how many books and how many videos, you know, I consume, I don't think I'll be ready for it. And it will be a new experience in itself. Yeah.
It's a very magical experience. Yeah.
But I mean, it's also like, how would you say? I don't have any expectations really of my child, other than I hope that they're kind, and I hope that, you know, they develop both intellectual and emotional intelligence so that they can experience the world around them. And lastly, I hope that they can have a sense of humor. Yeah.
Allison, it's really good to talk to you.
Thank you.